preparing, still preparing.
So Kacha and Susa and Aisha, thank you for your time to join us. We are not live yet, so are we going live now? Okay, great. Thank you Ayşe Güleç and also Kacha Kobold and Susa Husse for joining us this evening in Jakarta time. But I'm in Makassar, South Sulawesi, about 2 hours away from Jakarta by plane. So Ayşe is in Kassel, and then Susa, she said that she is in a small town in Ireland. And Kacha, you're in Berlin, right, Kacha?
In Munich.
Yeah, in München. Okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. This is Walkie Talkie. This is the third session. It was started from actually started from May, and this is the third session. Walkie Talkie is a hanging out, telling stories conducted by us in ruangrupa to connect with some friends where proximity doesn't refer to something geographical or physical. It's about stories, not theories, and what it means to work and live together. And in this third session, we invite Ayşe Güleç. She's a research activist, educator, and also author based in Kassel, Germany. And during this session, as we already discussed, it's a little bit different than the previous session, where our storyteller is also the host at the same time. So Ayşe is inviting two of her friends. She has been working together, and then they will Ayşe will host us. Will host this session to talk about how they connect with their friends, and then to work and to actually to work together. I think that's the opening from me, and then I had the ball to Ayşe to start. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Andan. I'm really excited also because I don't see Katja and even Susa for a long time, not since 2 years, I guess. The last time in Berlin, quickly, it was a small meeting. So I'm really happy to see you all in this circle via Zoom. And I'm very pleased to be introduced today as a member of the Documenta 1518. I think that my person is can be on the best way introduced by through things which I have done, and also doing through the sorts of people which I'm worked, and also being done and work together in different contexts. And so that is why I'm very happy that for the project of the subject of nail studios, today is Susa Husse here, and also Katja Kobold, and companion me today for the talk about the nail studios in Germany. I will do a quick, I will to introduce you also, because we have not so much time. So let's start with Susa. Susa Husse is a queer feminist cultural practitioner who works across different fields, also including art, research, writing, publishing, education, and curating. She was involved in situated and earthly ways of living, learning, doing, and undoing culture. She works with on collaborative and cooperative approaches, transformative knowledge, and political imaginations. mainly, maybe you can add also something to your person later also, Susa, when we have the talk. And now I go quickly to Katja. Katja, I know really for a long time. I guess we know each other because we worked also in different spaces. And so I know Katja, or I know Susa through Katja. That is the connection. And I'm very happy to have you both here now. Katja Kobold works as an independent curator, producer, and researcher with feminist and anti-racist impacts. Since the 90s, Katja created individually and also in collectively political engaged artist projects, but she can tell also later more about that. Between 2016 and 2019, Katja Kobold co-designed the program of the Munich City Art Space Lothringer 13 or Lothringer 13, Florida, and invited and curated the exhibition and forum No Stop Non-Stop on post-socialist images and migration at Lothringer Halle 13. Maybe this is also enough. Sorry, please, I do it really quickly because I think we need also time to speak about our common projects. And I think maybe we can tell also how we get together and what we have done also for this nail project.
Yes, so maybe I'll start. Thank you all for this meeting. I mean, we have met before on the virtual platform in the time of the restrictions of meeting. So basically our encounter, and I'm very happy that you thought of, so to say, introducing your collaborative practice also in dialogue with us, because I think this is, of course, like one example of the many collaborative contexts that you, Ayşe, are moving. Actually, we met through so to say, artistic representations of the history of migration in Germany, where I'm also based, and I'm also identifying myself with migrant. I'm a very privileged migrant from the European Union, from the northern part of ex-Yugoslavia. And when migrating and also before, like the context with the Germany were for me mainly through the so-called guest workers, meaning the workers that came to Germany in the course of the Marshall Plan to boost the economy, German economy, and that somehow also in anthropological, cultural terms, also connected, so to say, the post-Europe, the post-war European context. And when migrating myself, so to say, this was the legacy that I could attach to, the legacy that I found that it was, and it has still been very much invisible. And through the work of Jana Biller-Meyer, who is a Munich-based post-migrational artist, we met with Ayşe, also in Kassel at Documenta. And we started to talk about spaces where, especially in today's urban German context, in German cities, migration, it's, so to say, most palpable in terms of spatial terms, in terms of visual terms. And we found out that that this is the nail salon and the practice of nail work, and each of us, so to say, came to this observation in different ways. As I said, I came through the research and through the artistic curatorial work on the visibility of Gastarbeiters, guest workers, migration workers, especially from the southeastern Europe. And it was your home at Kassel, Ayşe, at your kitchen table, that we basically started to need the story of the nails project, on which a lot of people, a lot of artists and activists joined us. And it was Susa that basically, through her engagement at the UDK, the University of Arts in Berlin, so to say, made possible the first, so to say, institutional kick for the project. So maybe I hand over that point to you, Susa, to basically define a bit like what was our point of departure.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you all for being here together. Ayşe, for bringing us in, and then for hosting this. It's quite a nice and unexpected moment to come together to also talk about this kind of ongoing and porous collectivity or platform that we've kind of initiated with Katja and Ayşe in Kassel at the last Documenta, in a way. So it's also kind of a baby of the encounters that can happen at the peripheries, or like kind of at the sides of these kind of events. And before I go into the UDK and what we started there, I also wanted to say that kind of the conversations that started in Kassel with the three of us already always had also the work of a very dear friend of mine, Nguyen Phuong Linh from Hanoi, kind of as part of our thinking, because Linh has been working in relation to Vietnamese diaspora in Germany and in the US, but also in relation to kind of ecologies and colonial environments in Vietnam, and making connection between the two, and has been working as a nail, in nail salons during her time as a student at Städelschule. So for her, this cosmos of the nail salon as a also field in which different kind of expressions and regimes of class, race, migration, and gender kind of intersect and interlock, has been kind of an ongoing practice, and has also been a practice that has been part of our friendship in a way, and our conversations throughout the years. So that's also a bit to say basically where I come from into the project. And the second thing is also that I'm involved as a member of the artistic team in a queer feminist art space and community center called District Berlin since 2012. And because of the practices there, that was basically collaborative artistic research in relation also to very concrete and situated politics that we are kind of faced with and embodying, and that are part of our relationships. Basically enabling and collaborating with people in relation to that is what brought me to the UDK. So basically I was invited to teach in the UDK based on my practice in district as a kind of transdisciplinary research facilitator or something like that. And because that for me is not possible in singularity, similarly to Ayşe, who kind of invited us here to come and talk together, I asked Katja and Ayşe to join me in the UDK and try to formulate and start and initiate a space in which we can think with and think in proximity to the nail salon. as a space, as a very complex space that has, that kind of, as Katja and already said, kind of through which a lot of the kind of histories and current expressions of migration in its complexity in Germany can be looked at, but also expressions of gender, expression of class labor, and so on. Yeah.
I think we had also the same, let's say, the same fever for things like feminism, the issue of activism. And I think the topic of when we spoke in my house during Documenta 14, it was, I think, the last days of Documenta, you visit me. And when you asked me what I will do after Documenta 14, and I told you about this project and idea, because I was, when I was going around in Kassel, I recognized that some new studios, nail studios opened. And I was very much interested who is working in this and why people from, mainly from Vietnam, are working in this studio. It was in the beginning, 10 years before, it was only women. And I recognized also in that time that also men are taking also over the shops and doing also nail studios. And I was very much interested to look from the post-migrant, or let's say from a situated side on these nail studios. And I was interested to make a deeper research, but it is, of course, a really huge project also to make a research. And Susa, you had already, you were really fast and asking if we can do that together. And that was really perfect, because we invite also students to collaborate with us. And this was really fantastic. And on the way how we have done this project with the student, it was also like sharing experiences, going to the nail studios, asking people who are the experts. We are not the experts for nails. Maybe we can do also our nails, but we are not the experts for nail. And we are not the experts. Why are we doing that? And like nails, nail work. And for me, it was what Katja mentioned before. There's a whole history of working conditions in Germany for migrant people, or let's say post-migrant people. And I thought maybe this issue, why people from Vietnam are doing these nail studios, it's also connected to the labor market and to the labor regime, let's say, to the politics, to the neoliberal politics, or to the politics, how they bring people in some working conditions. And I was surprised. I can tell also this story maybe very, very quickly. A friend of mine, also from Vietnam, she came to Germany because she married a German person here in Kassel, and she was living here in Kassel, and somebody brought me in touch with her. And after her child was in the age of the kindergarten, 3 years, she was very much interested to have also a job outside the house, not only house working conditions, also to go out and to work somewhere, to have a salary, to stand on her own, on her own feet. And she went to the Arbeitsamt, that is the Department for Unemployed People, and asked for a job. And the first question to her was, you are from Vietnam, so we have a school for you. You can learn how to make nails. And after then we can give you some help, like 500 euros or something like that. Then you can open your own studio. And this was quite interesting for me because this is connected also to the regime, what you, Susa, mentioned before, or Katja also, to the regime of labor market and labor politics. And of course, the students, which we worked with them, and we made also together exhibition, maybe we can talk more about the process, how we get also in the topic with the students, because we visit also the Songdong halls in Berlin, make also friends there, because working for us, and now I'm speaking also about us, not only for me, working together, it's also doing friendships.
Yeah, I think this is very important what you mentioned, this materiality of collaboration, which was which I consider as a, so to say, migrant art worker and not international in this sense, because nobody invited me to Germany to come and work curatorically and artistically, but I really migrated out of also personal reasons, and of course this quite old European also a situation within arts and the way that art production approaches, so to say, its context. It's very much, in my eyes, institutionally governed, which is something that, of course, if coming from a post-socialist country or from a country like, or a threshold, so to say, country, it's complete different situation. And then again, overlaid with migration, I think like what I cherish like the most within the Nails project is this, the way of, I call it storm-formed collaboration that enabled, so to say, come together and enabled or broke through the condition of impossibilities, which is, I think, also a parallel to the nail studio itself. A nail studio, which it's for many people a possibility to start because they need to start something on themselves, because they are, so to say, not to be integrated into the labor market on different terms, as on terms of small entrepreneurship and self-employment. And this is also, of course, a parallel with the artwork, though of course intersectionally differently crossed. And like even because you talked about students, so this initial, so to say, institutional push that we were privileged to have share of it through Susa's, we immediately opened it up in terms that it wasn't only for the students, that that people studying at the Universität der Künste, which is already quite a privileged position, and it's also quite coded, so not everybody has access to, but we were already open, so to say, for people, that the students invited the others, and as you said, also to, so to say, get in touch, not only touch, but also work with people that really work with nail salons, in nail salons. And we also discussed from the beginning on also the aspect of, so to say, like, what is the portion of the appropriation that we basically within the project nolens volens, so reproduce, of course, because we are, so to say, as artists and as curators, as activists, as we are, of course, so to say, machines for the production of representation. And of course, we do, so to say, through our positionality, through our epistemologies, of course, predefine also these representations. So I think it's, for me, it's really important, and this is something that it's now in the continuation of editions or coming out of this research process, where different artists and different activists and theoreticians approached the labor of beauty and the nail work from very different points of view. For example, my personal contribution was in regard to the Cold War and the Cold War coding of feminine beauty in the West and the East, and how, so to say, this beauty was also politically instrumentalized in terms of, let's say, neoliberal Western expansion on the one hand. And at the new edition in Ljubljana at the City of Women Festival, which is a festival that takes place for the 26th year in a row, which is a festival dedicated to women's art and theoretical and activistic productions, where the, so to say, this fluid core Nels Hex and Fictions group again opened up for more local and regional, so to say, point of view, where we, so to say, deepened more the focus that I already spoke about, which is what aspects of history and society get visible and so to say speakable if we look through the material practice of cosmetics to history. And there is, for example, one very interesting, or one of the topics that, or one of the complexes that came out as already one of the Nels Hex and Fictions artists, Marijke Bernin, in her research found out the historical connections, material connections between film industry, film stock, which is celluloid film stock,
car industry
through car polish and nail polish, which was, so to say, production circuit, nail polish, all of three of them having nitrocellulose as the base, and they also shared the medium of popularization, which is film. And also in terms of the Cold War, how also so to say cosmetics and not only cosmetics, but one so to say model of modernity won through the historical process, through the film, while in the East with Agit train, film was bringing revolution to the people. In the West and from the West, film was bringing cars and cosmetics, so to say, to the people. And in this historical race, car won. And today, if we look at the at what was before red communist Eastern Europe, this is today also red, but in terms of the polluted air, because of the huge car mobility that happened after the collapse of the iron wall, and especially, and then I'll stop, especially a lot of German dirty diesel cars are the ones that land, so to say, in the former Eastern Europe, and they give this polluted air the color of red if we look at the figures and at the schemes of the European Environmental Agency. And next to Eastern Europe is, of course, Africa, the continent to which the most of the dirty old European cars are being exported to. But this is something that European Environmental Agency is again in legacy of many colonial practices not looking there. So this is like one of the aspects that open up when we like approach history and contemporaneity through the
Absolutely, yeah.
of Nile.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can share also some images. Susa, do you want to add something?
Yeah, maybe just some stories in a way of like what a little bit of experiences from, I mean, the different iterations, because I think a really important part of in a way also hacking this institutional framework, both of the UDK and of, let's say, artistic research, and as it's often framed, is to do with a kind of continued kind of staying within like difficult and paradoxical environments and making friends and kind of having the opportunity to continue conversations or also meet somewhere to express concerns and find ways to deal with them. And I think that is something that needs much more time than a semester, or that it needs much more space than you know, the usual or like the platforms that we often kind of engage with. So I just wanted to share a bit about I think what was really important also for me as a learning process was that the three of us and all the people we had invited to join from outside, and also the people who joined as students, everyone brought very particular concerns and perspectives into these processes, also very questioning concerns. And so, for example, we invited Ferdian Ziad Tajib, who's part of the District Collective, and who was sharing a bit about kind of concerns that he comes across in his own research processes in relation to what Katja briefly mentioned also in terms of like the ethics of research and appropriation, but also kind of exposure or, you know, creating more risk for people or groups that are vulnerable for different reasons. And I wanted to share that, I mean, as part of the student group, there was or like as part of the conversations we all had, we were, and that was in, when was this? In 2017, 2018, beginning of 2018. So as we started in the spring, kind of in parallel to us beginning this process together, there was this what's called Berlin Gallery Weekend, and there was this after party at the König Gallery, which is kind of one of established galleries, which was inviting people kind of with a super racist and sexist representation of Asian femininity. So there was a big outrage in different Asian diaspora communities, but also between the students, some of whom are from different Asian backgrounds that we were working with. So we also took time to address these things and think about what that had to do with the way we were working together and with the way we were approaching also expressions of gender, expressions of class, expression of culture in the nail work. And through this kind of conversation, different kind of works or works in progress were made, but also the Tau from Deutsche Asiaten Make Noise, which is like German Asians Make Noise. It's an activist organization, came into the project. And then in the second part that we had at District as part of a larger kind of intersectional feminist education project, we continued to collaborate, and then also through Ling being there, we together went to the Dongsan market, and then we met Yen Le, who runs this education center for nail design, and then from this first moment on, basically during our work together, we have then been collaborating with her and with her students for almost for a year since then. Mm-hmm. So a lot of kind of different kind of expressions. For example, a kind of German Vietnamese dictionary came out of these kind of collaborations, and also different kind of I would say like artistic practices of situated hacking in a way, and also all the difficulties of like communication of different kind of expectations and desires. I think this kind of, let's say, the long-termness or like the expansiveness of the commitment from all of us to something that is ongoing made it possible to stay with the trouble in Haraway's terms, like to stay with all the kind of conflicts and also paradoxes and not knowing and not being sure that came up in the process. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just also wanted to share a bit about, let's say, different kind of emotional landscapes of engaging together.
But this engagement or this commitment was not also like a closed circle. It was always linked. Changed also, some new came, and how you also mentioned that it's still ongoing, and
and nobody owns it also. I think it's an important thing that, what Katja was saying about this star-formed collaboration. It means it's kind of a thing that everyone who has been part of it or who's interested to be part of it can form their own groups, or can form their own forms of like contributing or continuing, or so in a way, I mean, we're still kind of the ones who have started it, and who are kind of part of a circle of friends that are continuing to have a very strong interest in it, but people come in and out.
And this is something I would say that it's in a lot of times in artistic circles lost, and that's why I mean, this is something that I recognize. Maybe you could say also, Ayşe, you for your practice, because this is something I recognize for your practice, in which you are insisting basically on an activist approach. And I do believe that this is in comparison with artistic presentation in artistic context or in academic context, the, so to say, fruitful or the so to say important part of activism is that, so to say, the branding, it's not that ossified, it's not that strong as it is in the artistic context and academic context, where, so to say, content or special problems are more or less branded. Like you deal with something, so it means that the other artist cannot not deal with it. This is something, it's like really a very within the neoliberal epistemological turn, which is more or less already very close. So it's really like it's important to resist it. This is something which is in activism still not the case. still is like horizontal, so to say, and from different points of entry, possible way of encounter, and that's why I think that it's really important always to rethink and reflect also, so to say, the telos, or like why the why of one collectivity. If you mean like what is the reason, so to say, of being together, and this reason of being together, it's that it's very much bound, so to say, to life, to really living, this is maybe something which it's only a consideration, but when thinking about so to say new consumable modernities that are now in these, so to say, post-colonial paradigm, especially in the arts and the thought opening up, it's, I think, really important. And this is something that, for example, one collective, activist collective in arts, Dear All, that reacted to some public events that the city of Munich was organizing, and basically like their reaction and their criticism of so to say common topos, and also at the same time blind spot of many of German cultural policies is, so to say, there is no distinction between internationalism and so to say post migrational positionality, like while global diverse modernities are being produced and consumed, so to say, at the same time they function as a machine for exclusion in the center.
Yes, I agree absolutely. And to come back to this network of Dear All, I think the issue of Dear All, or the content of Dear All, is how like cities like München or Nuremberg are showing migration in their cities, and how they exclude people in the cultural field. And this is maybe really important to know, that it's there's also a trouble about this point, because it's not the question if we make something visible. The question is more important how we do it. And this is one question for me which is really important, and also for you. That is the reason why we came together also. And additionally, maybe also to say collective thinking, collective research, and doing also in a collective network, like ruangrupa is doing it for 20 years now. It's amazing. And I think this collective working is also, it's saying, yes, nobody is doing something alone in this world. We are always contact, and we are always in collective thinking process, working process. And why we are doing like we are alone? We are not alone. We are always doing everything together, always in collective.
And that's why I think it's important, like this, how to define, like I must say I'm a child of socialism in terms, like the first text that I was reading as a student, it was the Communist Manifesto. So this is something that of course stayed with me, and this positionality, before I talked about this branding, like we are all together, and also how then this what collectively we share, like what is the collective, so to say, pronunciation of this collectively produced texture, you know, which is discursive, material, structural. It has many aspects, but I think that it's very important to so to say, to open up, to leave this structure open, and also even if it's connected to so to say, negotiations and continuous so to say, troubles, you know. But it's important to leave this texture so to be shareable.
Yeah.
And I think that there are different ways, like very practical ways. But this is maybe something that this is not a context today to talk about it. But I think that in terms of me working mainly as a curator, there are very practical curatorial methods of dealing with these, and so to say, nurturing the structure to be alive. So when you said independent curator, when you introduced me, it's basically it's more true interdependent curator. In terms of positive terms, but also in terms of me being a subject, also of course of different powers.
Yeah.
But Ayşe, I was just wondering, because it's also about you introducing your practice, this whole conversation, and I think what Katja just mentioned, you know, the kind of space that it opened up, your focus on what it means, activist and artistic knowledge production. You know, it's maybe you want to talk also a little bit more about your own involvement in all these different really important groups and initiatives in the context of neo-fascism and continued coloniality in Germany, because I think, I don't know like where this is going, because the screen looks super small, but I guess this kind of is circulating. So maybe it's also good in terms of giving a context, both of your practice and where we are at in this mess in the current times, if you want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to do that. With being an activist, I'm not only an activist. I think identity is always fluid. You can't say I'm an activist or I'm a woman or I'm a man. It's this identity politics. It's not really clear like that. So I say I'm introducing myself always like I'm an activist, but also educator, like Annan have done it. And so I'm interested in different spheres, and I'm try to connect the spheres. When because Kassel is also a city where Halit Yozgat killed by the NSU, I started really early after the killing in Kassel to be connected to the neighborhood, because I was working also in this neighborhood close to Halit's internet cafe. And Halit was the 9th victim of the NSU, and the NSU, the core team of the NSU, killed 10 persons. And there was one break after the killing of Halit Yozgat in Kassel, and the family of Halit Yozgat, the parents of Halit Yozgat, and the family of Enver Şimşek, who was the first victim, and the family of Kubashik, who was killed 2 days only before Halit in Dortmund. They organized one demonstration. It was first in Kassel, then in Dortmund. And this demonstration were made by these people, these families, but more than 4,000 people were taking part of this demonstration in Kassel. They start in the Holländische Straße close to the internet cafe and went to the Rathaus here in Kassel. And I was also there, and I was wondering why only post-migrants are taking part in this demonstration. This was really a shock for me. And then I was very much interested also to be in contact with the family. I started to work with friends in Kassel about this issue of racism in Kassel. And of course, maybe the NSU, the trio, the 3 people are not existing anymore. 2 of them, they killed themselves, and only the 1 person is in prison now. But we know in Hesse or in Germany, the NSU is not coming to the end. Yeah, it's still ongoing also, because the lawyer of the Familie Schimschek, for example, she is a lawyer in Frankfurt. She was taken care for in the NSU trial in Munich. She was taking care for the family Schimschek. This lawyer, for example, she is getting still threat mails by the NSU 20 point. So there's the next generation of the NSU, and they call themselves NSU 20 point. And not only she, also some other active politicians get also these mails. And the interesting thing is that the private information of this person, like Seda Bassa Yildiz, and also the comedian Gillette Ayşe, and also Janine Wissler, politician from Wiesbaden, the information, the personal information about children's addresses, age, was given by the police station, was given out from police computers. So I started to make to be an activist in this frame, but because I was also active before, but this was really important for me, and I'm still working in this. And we made also like a tribunal NSU complex unraveling. The first one was in Cologne, and during the preparation time of the Documenta 14, because I worked also in that time for Documenta 14, we built a network of the Society Friends of Halid. It was also like a collective, and we invited also to be in this network forensic architecture, and they made also an investigation about the internet cafe, the killing in the internet cafe. Yeah, so, and this project is also going on and going on. Last week we made also a demonstration here in Kassel because one taxi driver was attacked with a knife in his car, and he was also, yeah, he survived. But it was also a try to kill him in the taxi, in his own taxi. And we made also a demonstration here from the initiative 6th of April, but also other networks, anti-fascist and anti-racist networks came together. And one week after this attack, we organized a big demonstration with different taxi companies. It was really nice to have this solidarity also in the city. And I think activism, it's important for me, but I'm very much interested to combine this also with questions of visibility and invisibility, with aesthetics, forms, and so on. It's not only doing activism, it's also to think how we can present something, how we can speak about something, how we can make us also stronger and to speak about things like racism in Germany. It's quite still it's like unsayable. It's still not easy to speak about racism in Germany. And this is something in which I'm very much interested also.
Yes, and you also you are, so to say, the author in the German context of one very often quoted or very often used notion, which is situated knowledge in terms of experience of discrimination. And here I would like to also again pick up what you said now at the end, which is about this connection and this intersection, or where activism and art in terms very powerfully meet, about this different taxonomy, about bringing up, so to say, language and imaginary with which experiences and knowledge which are rendered mute or invisible can still, so to say, be collectively transmitted. And this is something that I share very much with another collective that I'm a part of it, Red Mind, and Jelena Petrovic, which is who is also your colleague. And this was also, so this has been for us, so to say, also in terms of feminism and art, that art and feminism, it's not about representation of already consumed as feminist agenda, but it's about, so to say, through art, of opening of feminism as political movement. So yes, so what if you think of this juncture of your artistic and activist practice, like what would be, so to say, the most powerful moments or the fruitful moments that you think that you encounter on this juncture? Is this diversity of languages, publics, like?
Yeah, of course, diversity is one topic, but diversity is also a really difficult term, because when you speak about diversity, it's mainly city marketing understands something else under this term, diversity, because every city in Germany will be diverse and so on. But what does this mean? Are people always have people, the diverse people, do they have really free access to everything? No, that is not the case. So it's this diversity, speaking about diversity, is making about politics like branding the city and city marketing. I leave this, let's say, these terms of like diversity, and so I don't use it anymore. And what for me it's interesting is collaboration, really, and working together, sharing experiences, and also learning and unlearning. And I think learning is more simple than unlearning. And this content of unlearning is, for me, really interesting. But now time is nearly over. Sorry. We have only 1 minute. Maybe we can stop here. Is it enough, Katja, for you? For what I have said?
But Ayşe, you said that you wanted to share some pictures. Is it possible to be the closing of this last?
Yeah, I can do. Maybe I can share. Katja and Susa, what do you want that I show? Everything? Maybe the film, maybe first?
Film is nice. That was created as a kind of collaborative film in this Halle 18 hack lab that we kind of made as kind of on invitation of Yenle, the woman who's running this nail design school, and where we kind of started kind of displacing and alienating kind of objects and things, but also it's kind of a document of kind of conversations and things that happen, but it's just a very small atmospheric glimpse. Yeah. Can you see it?
Actually, we don't see it.
I can't see it.
You cannot see it on the screen. I
What?
odd now there.
Oh, no, I'm sharing it, but you think it was not visible? You couldn't see it?
We saw the files, but not the
Why?
the videos you played. Yeah.
Now we see it.
Yeah, now we see it.
Now.
So I start again. Sorry. I can share also some photos. Can you see them?
No, it's again
No?
only five.
Maybe what's also important to mention is that after the first group effort that we did, we Katja's initiative and kind of opened the possibility through No Stop Nonstop, the exhibition project she curated, to edit a publication which is available online for free. Just to say that, because I think a lot of kind of the different knowledges and perspectives that went into working together are pretty much present there, and it's available on the District Berlin website.
I have it also open here now.
Great. Maybe you can show a little bit of that as well.
But it's not functioning. I don't know why. You can't see it, huh?
No, it's only the file.
You want me to try?
Now?
Yes, now it is.
Now.
Great.
This is about the Nails project, Hacks, Facts and Fictions.
It's a first edition, so to say, or it's a publication that, so to say, documents or also offered also a platform for, so to say, the first 2-3 editions of the project, which is the research at the UDK, the non-stop exhibition and forum, and the caring for conflict, different community projects that analyze facts and fictions, artists as Jean Ranha, Johanna Kete-Michel, Anna Ernstein, Anisha Müller, Lian Aviram, Kim Bode, and
it's a long list of all the participants.
Tauha, to say, created. And now there will be another publication coming out from the current edition, which I also mentioned, which is Cornea's Stories. And it will, so to say, it broaden up the vision, not only in terms of the nails, but in terms of cosmetics as material culture, especially with the look on the topics of forced labor, that also, if we look through cosmetics to history, open up to codings and appropriation of material practices and so forth.
I go through the publication here.
So now we'll also see, for example, this work that we have just seen was by Kim Bode. There are many, so to say, artistic outputs that were produced within this research. Is an image that it's often to be found as a, so to say, reappropriated, ready-made image, where the artist with LED lights, so to say, created this ready-made image of the nail salons, very often to be found in German nail salons on the one hand, and on the other with a poem that came out of the artistic research of the nails.
Here's the toxic polish. Katja told before also in the end, when we start to speak about Mareike's distribution in the workshop, but also for the magazine or for the print paper here, toxic polish.
Yes, and Mareike Berlin, at the new edition of the project, Cornea's Stories, she presents a collaborative film together with Kerstin Schrödinger, where they deal with one film stock produced by Agfa Color, which was an award-winning film stock in the Second World War, and was produced with involvement of forced laborers from concentration camp, and practice that Agfa continued also in the east of Germany, but also in the west, whether by employing prisoners as workers or by migrant workers. And they basically examine the political, so to say, appropriation or the political narrative of the color film medium, and through the, so to say, historical construction of the history of the Second World War in Germany, pointing out that black and white which was the dominant images of the Second World War within the memorial landscape in Germany. Basically, that their political function, was to create, so to say, distance, whilst the color was created to, so to say, to connote proximity. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is very interesting in terms of also what Ayşe was describing, where she's involved in civil society and activist movements against, so to say, the legacy, the legacy of National Socialism and the racism. This is also something that, especially in German context, it's, so to say, pictured and portrayed as something alien to this society. But actually it has a historical legacy. And also National Socialism has a historical legacy. I mean, there is, Aimé Césaire talked about National Socialism and fascism as colonial violence coming back home, meaning coming back to Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is the edition in Munich, the No Stop Non-Stop, which was an exhibition and forum that, so to say, out of 50th anniversary of this bilateral agreement between West Germany and ex-Yugoslavia, but there were altogether, I think, 9 bilateral agreements with which Germany, after the war, recruited migrant workers from especially south of Europe, but also North Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The publication is online, so I will stop here now. Time is over, Andan. Oh,
yeah. Thank you so much. It's a very interesting stories on how on your notion of working together. And then there are some highlights and then conclusion, but I'm not going to mention here. And I'm not going to conclude and mention some highlights. It will be us who, the audience who will conclude and highlights from their versions from these discussions. But thank you so much, Ayşe Güleç, Kacha Kobold, and Susa Husse for sharing your stories on starting from this nail project. And then yeah, hope to meet you someday, and then to listen more to your stories on working together. Yeah. And thank you so much again. And then this Walkie Talkie session will be again in next month, August 15th, with other stories from our hosts and storytellers. Thank you again for Ayşe Güleç, Kacha Kobold, and Susa Husse. Good evening from Indonesia. Yeah. Good evening from Indonesia.
Thank you for making this space.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
So nice
Bye.
to meet you all.
Bye bye.
All the best. Ciao.
Ciao.